What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Master Crafted. Today we are talking all about the new T-Suns leaks. Hot damn, do they look like they are fire, pun intended. Phil, how you doing today? What are you thinking about these new T-Suns?
Well, I am excited. I like mobile armies. I like armies that play the game in a different way. And we are now back. This is the first army that's going to have a real psychic phase, appropriately so. While the rest of us are not having the psychic phase anymore, believe it or not, Thousand Suns, they kind of get it back with their super cool army rules. So I think a lot of the detachments that units that weren't necessarily super effective previously are now much more effective. And I think the army as a whole, like Emperor's Children, like Death Guard, like World Leaders, are not going to come out flat in any way. They are going to have an impact on the meta. And I think already I can tell that these guys are going to be good.
Yeah, they definitely are going to play a lot more like they used to, having a little bit more of a full range of things you can do. You're no longer trying to calculate your Cabal points. You are just able to do these things as long as you have guys to cast them. So that does definitely help. Let's go ahead and run through that army rule real fast. I'll start off. The army rule is if your faction is Thousand Suns at the start of your shooting phase, one or more models from your army with this ability can attempt rituals from the list. To do so, select one model from your army with this ability that has not yet attempted a ritual this turn, and select one ritual no model from your army has manifested this turn, and then take a psychic test for that model by the following sequence. The standard is to roll 2d6, or you can choose to channel the warp and roll an additional dice. If you roll any doubles or triples during the test, your model's unit will suffer d3 mortal wounds. If that model is not destroyed, the combined total of all the dice during that test is the psychic test result. If this equals or exceeds the warp charge value of the ritual being attempted, that model manifests the ritual and you resolve its effects. All right, pretty wordy for the first part, but it is basically describing an entire phase that is not really back again. It's still tucked into the shooting phase, but it's still in there. All right, Phil, what is the first of those warp charges? What are the first of the rituals you can attempt?
Well, I just want to do just a little synopsis for those that are reading this and kind of want to pick out the really important things from here. Okay, so specifically says manifested. So if a unit has failed it, you could run it all the way down until someone passes it. To my understanding, that sequence means that we can roll 2d and then see what the result is, and then choose to add that additional dice, because you can see those dotted lines are all the way through it, and it is showing that those are the steps. So you would roll 2d6 first, then you can choose to channel, then if the model is destroyed, you would succeed on the test. Now I will say, that says that model's unit. So you can put that on the rubrics that it's attached to, the Zangors on disc that it's attached to, the Zangors that it's attached to, whatever the case is. You do not have to put that on the sorcerer. I think that makes a huge difference. To my understanding, that is the intent behind how that sequence would work for determining whether or not that ability is going to go off. But yes, now let's move right on to Destiny's Ruin. It's the first one. It is the lowest with a warp charge value of 5. Select one enemy unit within 24 inches and visible to the manifesting model. It does not say to the unit. It says to the manifesting model. Until the end of the phase, each time a Thousand Suns model from your army makes an attack that targets that unit, reroll a hit roll of 1. If the psychic test result for that ritual is 10 plus, you can reroll the hit roll instead. So this is Oath, but T-Sun's Oath.
T-Sun's Oath. Do you think that is worth channeling the warp, overcharging this ability to make sure you get full rerolls a lot of the time? I mean, that seems pretty spicy.
I'm doing it. I'm doing it every time.
Every time. There's no way you're not oathing something. I mean, if we've learned anything this edition, it is that, make sure that you are getting full hit rerolls, especially as we'll see later going through some of those data sheets. There are going to be plenty of things that will benefit from lethal hits or sustained hits, things that you're really going to want to be fishing for, and that is just a great way to help improve efficiency of a pretty shooty army. All right, up next we have Temporal Surge. Select one friendly Thousand Suns unit that is not within engagement range of one or more enemy units and is within 24 inches and visible of the manifesting model. That unit can make a normal move of up to d6. If the psychic test result is a 10 or more for the ritual, that unit can make a normal move of up to 6 inches instead. In either case, until the end of the turn, that unit is not eligible to charge. This is nerfed. It's no longer
It
a
is.
full move as it was before in the Index Edition. It is now just a tiny little extra D6 or 6 inches of movement if you have it. I believe rubrics are still 5-inch move, so even then,
Yes.
you're not even getting the full getting the full 6 on a lot of these cases. But still, extra movement is amazing.
Yeah, I like the way I see this is like putting it on a unit of Rubric Terminators, right? And sending them if we could supercharge them, right? Like move 6 and then an additional 6 if we can overcharge it. Which if we're doing it from like a Demon Prince or someone that's got +1 to their temporal surge value, that way we can get to 10. It would be really, really valuable to kind of get them up the board, get those flamers within range, stuff like that. I think that's very solid.
Yeah, definitely nice to have a way to advance and still be able to shoot on a lot of things that do not have assault in this army. So you are able to get that little bit of extra movement and do what you need to do is always very nice. Up next, Phil, everyone's favorite. And what is that?
It's Doombolt. It was never going away. It's never going to be gone for good. It is our second highest warp charge. It's 7. So select one enemy unit within 24 inches, invisible to the manifesting model, excluding units with the lone op ability that are not a part of an attached unit and are not within 12 of the manifesting model. Not manifesting unit, manifesting model. So lone op still protects you. Thank goodness they put that in there, because if they didn't, day one, it would just be like sniping all your lone op models that are dying to Doombolt. That would have been frustrating. That unit suffers D3 mortal wounds. If the psychic test for this ritual was 11 plus, that unit suffers D3 plus 3 mortal wounds instead. So 11 on 3d6 is like a 48, or I think a little higher than that, percent chance of, it's probably 54 percent chance of going off. So, I mean, for free, pretty much, right? Like, just roll it. 3d6. Might
Just
as well.
roll it. What's it going to cost you? D3 mortals onto one of your rubrics? Damn
Don't
good
care.
deal. I'd make that deal.
Seems pretty good.
Yeah, it's still, it doesn't have the high end potential that old Doombolt had back when it was, if you rolled the 6 when you cast Doombolt, you would do D6 plus 3 or whatever, or D3 plus 6, some insane thing. But it's more consistent. It's easier to do, I think, and being able to consistently do the D3 plus 3, I think, is a lot higher chance in this newer form. So that's great. And yeah, warp charge of 7 for the flat, just D3, like. It's not going to be something you're probably doing a lot of the time, but, you're going to be casting every single phase. You're going to at least cast one Doombolt no matter what. You're probably going to have the Psychers to go through all of these different things, for sure.
Correct. Yeah, for sure.
All right. Last up, Twist of Fate, a warp charge value of 9. Select one enemy unit within 24 inches and visible to the manifesting model. Again, until the end of the phase, each time a Thousand Suns model from your army makes an attack that targets that unit, improve the AP characteristic of that attack by 1. If the psychic test ritual result was 12 or higher, improve AP characteristic of attacks by 2. 12 is a little harder to hit. Not a ton harder, but it is a little bit harder.
It is.
You are always going to be channeling, even to get the base version of this. Just, and we'll see, as Phil said, that potentially you could add the extra dice on later, but chances are, be prepared to, you're probably going to need 3 dice most of the time. And why not fish for the extra 2 AP anyway?
Yeah, and I think this is probably one of the best ones, honestly. Doombolt's nice. The Temporal Surge is good. I do like re-rolling all hits, but think about what this does for like the data sheets in this detachment, where a lot of them are AP -2. Even the flamers in here are AP -2 or -1. Getting those to AP -4, ignoring cover, that can be heinous. That will just Armor of Contempt. Don't care. Like, I'm still going through you, right? Like, you still don't have a save because I'm going to ignore cover, and I'm AP -4 with these flamers. So the bolters are AP -2 now, base. So now they're getting up to AP -4. It seems pretty good.
Yeah. As long as you have your Icon of Flame, you're ignoring cover, you can just be like, oh, is that a 2-up save tank over there? That'd sure be a shame if even with Armor of Contempt you had 5-ups on just a bajillion shots. Sucks to suck, loser. Yeah.
No, you're good.
If that tank is on an objective, I mean, hot damn. Rerolling all wounds, too? Brutal. AP4 rerolling wound bolt guns. I could see that being a potential problem for some people.
Might hurt a little bit, might hurt a little bit.
All
But one of the
right.
last
So we
things in
for
here, one of the last things
oh
in
you
here, it's yeah, one of the last things in here, just in terms of rules, Pact of Sorcery, it's something we've seen in all the other detachments, all the other codexes, is where when you're mustering an army, unless specifically stated otherwise, you cannot select Scintillating Legion as your army faction. Believe it or not, there's only one detachment where you can take Chaos Demons. It's the Chaos Demon
wild.
detachment.
Yeah. Alrighty. So because this is the T Sons Codex, we decided we were going to add a nice new rating system for how we feel about things. And that is going to be the Zangor score. And we're going to have a nice little thing that we have floating across the bottom here. I don't know if you have noticed it yet or not, because I don't know if we have it up yet. But the Zangor score is going to represent how we feel about each of these things. So, Phil, why don't you kick us off? The army rule as a whole, how do you feel? What is the Zangor score?
It's a 5 out of 5 Zangors. This is a great detachment rule. It's a great army. It's thematic, which I love. All four of those psychic abilities are good. And then the ability to like make them go supercharged, I like. I think it's really, really solid. So as a whole, this might be one of the most like thematic, fun, competitive army rules I've seen. I love the Death Guard one. I would put that up there as well. But this one is great. I have no complaints about it. The fact that you can put it on the unit, it doesn't have to go onto the character itself is good, but then everything manifests from the model that's doing it, which is solid. So yeah, overall, really, really like it. What about you, Lane?
Yeah, I agree. I know this is probably one of the things people are definitely going to be bitching about is, changes to Doombolt, changes to being able to move freaking Magnus, whatever the 36 inches that you used to be able to do in the index. People are going to be upset about that. But in general, you are no longer having to keep track of Cabal points every turn. You are just able to cast these things and work through, who's able to cast them, get them done, and just do the flavorful things T-Sons are meant to do, all while helping yourself slap. If we do not see Twists of Fate for the extra AP and the Destiny's Ruin for rerolls every turn, just absolutely resulting in things getting deleted that probably shouldn't be, I'd be very surprised. I think this army is going to hit like a truck when it puts you in its crosshairs.
Yeah, for sure.
5 out of 5 on the Zangor score. All right. Up next, we have the first of the detachments. It is the revamped index detachment. It is the Grand Coven. All right, so in your command phase, you can select one of the abilities listed below to take effect until the start of your next command phase. You can only select each of these once per battle. So you cannot just pick one over and over and over again. It did get nerfed in that way. You aren't picking one at will and just having it up. The first one, Imbued Manifestation, add 6 inches to the range characteristic of psychic weapons for Thousand Suns models in your army. Psychic Maelstrom, each time a Thousand Suns model from your army makes a psychic weapon attack, add 1 to the wound roll. Psychic weapons on the third one, Wrath of the Immaterium, psychic weapons equipped by Thousand Suns models from your army have dev wounds. So it is a little worse than the index, but they are still very good.
That I would be very happy with that in any army. Army-wide dev wounds, army-wide +1 to wound, army-wide +6 inch to the range. All of those are fantastic. Yes, it's only on your psychic weapons, but believe it or not, Thousand Suns have a lot of psychic weapons, so you should be all right.
Yeah, and this is the detachment that still keeps the stratagem to turn bolters into psychic weapons, so be prepared. That's still gross.
Yes, it is.
All right. Up first on the enhancements, Lord of Forbidden Lore does get changed up a bit here. You no longer can cast something an additional time. Instead, each time the bearer manifests a ritual, while resolving that ritual, add 6 to its range. Definitely a nerf. No lying about it. It is worse, but still definitely can be a little handy in an army that is a glass cannon and wants to stay at range for as long as possible.
I mean, that puts it at 30-inch range for them, right? I would love, I think that's just good, right? Like being able to 30-inch, poke out and touch something with one of these rituals. I think it's fantastic. Next one up is Incendium, sure. Exalted Sorcerer model only, once per battle when selecting a ritual for the bearer to attempt. You can select Doombolt even if a model from your army has already manifested that ritual this phase. So you can do Bolt twice, or Lane, you can do Bolt twice. Because I know, seeing this codex, you're getting 1,000 Suns off the shelf.
Yes. Yeah, I am stoked to have a reason to bring them back. They kind of just fell into that same, everybody plays the same thing anymore, same as World Eaters did before their codex came out. And Yeah, excited. Gonna get them off the shelf. Definitely gonna be trying out this detachment for sure. And you can bet your ass I will be double doom bolting whenever I have this up, and they will both be overcharged every single time. Cannot deny it. I am a doom bolter for sure. Up next, we have the Umbralific Crystal. This has not changed. 1,000 Sun model only. Once per battle in your command phase, if the bearer's unit is not within engagement range of one of our enemy units, you can remove it from the battlefield and place it into strat reserve. In your reinforcement step of your movement phase, set that unit back up anywhere on the battlefield that is 9 inches horizontally away from all enemy units. Still very nice. Up, down, when you need it. In the command phase, especially, where you know what secondaries you're trying to score, very handy.
Yeah, that is a huge undervalued part of it, right? Like it says in your command phase, not the beginning of your command phase, right? You can do it after you've drawn secondaries and then move from there. All right, last one. Eldrick's Vortex of Etap. 1,000 Sun model only. Add 1 to the strength and damage characteristic of a psychic weapons equipped by the bearer. This is cheap enough. +1 damage is almost always worth it.
Yeah, there's no way this isn't just getting slammed onto an Infernal Master, same as before, where you get +1 strength and damage. It's still amazing, and especially if you're able to select some dev wounds where they automatically flip things to 6s. Sounds great.
Sounds pretty
good.
It's
only once per turn, obviously, or per battle, but still good for sure. All right, moving on into the stratagems. The first of which is Psychic Dominion for 1 CP. Any phase just after an enemy unit has selected its targets. 1,000 Suns unit from your army that was selected as a target of one or more of those attacks. Until the end of the phase, psychic weapons equipped by models in the attacking unit have the hazardous ability, and models in your unit have the 4-up Feel No Pain ability against psychic attacks. This is very niche. It's probably only going to be a T-Suns or mirror match situation that this comes up, but it is still nice that even if your opponent chooses to overwatch the shit out of you with some psychic flamers from Grey Knights, you have the ability to suffer those a little better.
Yeah, it's oddly specific, right? Like, it's got to be psychic, and then you give them hazardous, and then you have a 4 Feel No Pain against psychic attacks. So it is very, very specific. But it can just be demoralizing for some armies.
Yeah, that will not feel good at all in some matchups. And in other matchups, you'll never use this. 95% of your games, you won't even look at that stratagem. But it's there. Always watching.
Yes.
All right. What do we got next,
Phil? Next one is Destined by Fate. Any phase, just after a saving throw has failed for 1,000 Sun Psyker model from your army. If you're using fast rolling dice, this stratagem can still be used after rolling multiple saving throws at once. It is nice they put that in there. That is unique for sure. That Psyker model, you can change the damage characteristic of that attack to 0. If you're using fast dice rolling, select one of those attacks you failed a saving throw for. This is the first time I've seen them reference fast dice rolling in a strat.
Yeah, I mean, I think, what was that? That was brought up around October in the changes, so they must have just decided that before they started writing this book. So it finally has made it into the works of GW in this book. So that is nice to see. I would assume that is something we can look forward to in the rest of the codexes for this edition.
Yeah, I would hope so.
All right. Up next, Egotistical Power. In your command phase, 1,000 Sun Psychic unit from your army. Select Imbued Manifestation, Psychic Maelstrom, or Wrath of the Immaterium, which is those 3 abilities you can choose from in each battle run until the start of your next command phase. That ability applies to your unit instead of any other kindred sorcery ability. Even if you have already selected that ability this battle, it's great. It's the same as, Gladius put something into a doctrine. This is the exact same principle. You can do it at any time to make sure you still can get that efficiency out of one unit that you're really having pop off. And for 1 CP, that's going to be worth it a lot of the time.
Yeah, you're running this pretty much all, this is the strat you're probably using most, because you're trying to save the army-wide one for something very specific, or you're trying to put a unit into something that isn't the army-wide one, right? Like, you put them all into dev wounds, but you want this unit here to specifically have 6-inch more range. So yes, it is so very good, and the fact that it's 1 CP is awesome. So the next one here, Desecration of Worlds. Your command phase, 1,000 Sun Psyker unit from your army within range of an objective marker you control. That objective marker remains under your control until your opponent's level of control over that marker is greater than yours at the end of a phase. Sticky objectives. I think we always take that, right, Lane? We're always happy seeing sticky objectives either on a strat or an ability, whatever the case is.
Yeah. Yeah, always nice to have some stickiness to throw out there. Cannot complain whatsoever. 5 Zangors. All right, up next we have the Arcane Focus, your shooting phase, just after you take a psychic test for a 1,000 Sun model from your army that channeled the warp before resolving that ritual. That 1,000 Suns model can reroll all of the d6 for that psychic test, including the additional d6 for channeling the warp. So if you're running out of efficiency, you need to get that to go off before you have to move to another thing to attempt it. Spend a CP, roll 3 more dice, see if you can knock it down. It's great to have in the pocket.
Yeah, it's awesome. Like you said, you make a great point. If you just need this is the only unit that has line of sight to that one unit, and I need this unit to do it. The fact that they gave you a strat to kind of increase your efficiency, which with 2 3d6 rolls, you should be able to hit anything that you want to hit. Should.
Yeah. All
All
right.
right, the last one. Devastating Sorcery. Your shooting phase. 1,000 Sun Psyker from your army that has not been selected to shoot this phase until the end of the phase. Add 9 to the range characteristic of psychic weapons equipped by models in your unit. Each time a model in your unit makes an attack with a psychic weapon, you can reroll the hit roll and you can reroll the wound roll. That is a whole lot, but it's 9-inch range to psychic weapons, and then your psychic weapons can reroll the hit roll and wound roll. That is 2 CP. That is appropriately costed for full rerolls to hit and wound, and that is only shooting phase. It's not combat like Death Guard, but it's incredible. That is a great strat. 2 CP. We love it.
Yeah, definitely. It is combining 2 of the previous strats from the index where you either got the extra range or you could reroll all hits and wounds, and you just love to see it. All wrapped up into one where you can spend it both at the same time. You know, just who doesn't love having to not have the autonomy to spend it one way or the other? You know, you just get both now for 2 CP. It is still very, very good, though, all joking aside. There will be times where you wish you could just spend 1 CP to get the rerolls because the 9 inches doesn't do anything for you, but we'll take it anyway. That's still a great, solid strat, and it is still very gross, especially for some of the units that you now have available to you.
All right, Lane, you're a 1,000 Sun Specialist. Where does this first detachment hit? How many Zangors is this first detachment? The Grand Coven, where does it land?
I feel like it is going to be very solid. It's going to be very good. I want to give it... I'm going to give it 4.5 Zangors, I think. I think there is room where it could be a little better, but I think it is a very solid detachment. It's going to do a lot of the things you need it to. It is going to be insanely lethal. We already know from looking at Gladius Task Force where having access to doctrines that give you the autonomy to make decisions of how you want to go about giving damage out and you know how you're going about that is very strong. So I would say Grand Coven is definitely going to be up there. 4.5 Zangors, just because we got to leave room. You never know that we could have a 5 Zangor just waiting right around the corner, you know? So I'm going with 4.5. We're going to leave it right there. Very solid detachment. It's just an update of the index, and it's shifted a little, but very, very solid.
Okay, let's move on to the next one then.
Perfect. All right. Change host of Deceit. This is the demon detachment. The detachment rule is Infernal Pacts. Scintillating Legion units from your armies have the following ability. Demonic Illusions is an aura, while friendly 1,000 Sun Psyker unit is within 6 of and visible to this unit. Models in that unit have a 4-up invuln against ranged attacks. And then for 1,000 Suns units in that army, you have the following ability, Mortal Sorcery, which is an aura as well, while friendly Scintillating Legion Psyker unit is within 6 and visible to this unit. That Scintillating Legion unit has the Cabal of Sorcerers ability. Basically, what that means, to break that down again, is as long as you keep your demons next to your 1,000 Suns, you will get the benefits. The big one is the fact that you will now give Cabal of Sorcery as an ability to your Lords of Change and Kairos Fate Weaver, if you include them. And so you're going to be able to be casting with them and really feel thematic, as long as you even have just a squad of Zangors running around closely to them. So that is nice. And as long as you have a 1,000 Sun Psyker next to your demons, if they do not already have a 4-up invuln, they'll get one. So can't complain there.
It's the whole unit. So 1,000 Psyker units. So like all the things attached to it, that Psyker will have the 4-up Feel No Pain, which is interesting. It's range attacks, but yeah, 4-up Feel No Pain. Okay. All right. Obviously, we're in Strike Force. So you can take up to 1,000, Incursion 500, and Onslaught 1,500, and then no Scintillating Legions models can be your Warlord. Pretty par for the course there. But let's go on to these enhancements, Lane. The first one, Thousand Suns or Lord of Change model. At the start of your shooting phase, select one enemy unit within 12 and visible to the bearer. That unit must take a battle shock. If the test has failed, that unit suffers flat 3 mortal wounds.
If you overcharge, that is D3 plus 6 mortals if you have that ability.
That's true.
All right, up next we have Diabolic Savant and 1,000 Suns infantry model only while the bear is within 6 inches of one or more friendly Scintillating Legion units. Each time it channels the warp, add 1 to the psychic test result. So as long as you're rolling that extra dice, you get a +1 on top of it. Sounds like a great way to ensure you are stacking 2 AP on a target, if you ask me.
I mean, it seems solid. Seems really, really good.
Yeah, can't complain.
And I would take it. Yeah, I would take it. Next up, Duplicitous Malediction. Thousand Suns or Lord of Change model only. After both players have deployed their armies, select up to 3 T-Suns units from your army and redeploy them. When doing so, you can set those units up in Strat Reserve if you wish, regardless of how many units are already in Strat Reserve. A nice little redeploy, once again. Especially depending on how you play the army, this could be fantastic with a infiltrating unit of something and then pulling them back into Strat Reserve or somewhere else, screening out the board. I think that's really solid. And points dependent could be something you definitely want to take.
Could be good. The thing is, it's still going to have to compete with the other two and the final one of Tome of True Names, 1,000 Suns infantry model only, once per battle. At the start of any phase, the bear can use this enhancement. If it does, until the end of phase, it gets a 2-up invuln. I think some solo disc riding sorcerers would make great use of that if I was a betting man. Being able to just be excessively tanky with a 2-up invuln is very nice. I don't know if you've had any experience playing with 2-up invuln models, but is it a good rule to have?
They can tend to not die sometimes.
They can tend to not die. We'll take that. That's at least worth 4 Zangos itself right there, you know?
Okay.
All right, in the stratagems, we have Sulphurous Veal for 2 CP in your opponent's shooting phase or fight phase just after an enemy unit has selected its targets. 1,000 Suns or Scintillating Legion unit from your army that was selected as the target until the end of that phase. Each time a unit targets you with an attack, subtract 1 from the hit roll. -1 to hit, great. And I think that is 1 CP, but these pages are folded like crazy, so I cannot
It is 1 CP, yeah.
tell for sure.
It's definitely 1 CP.
Is it? Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, that's much better.
Yeah, we like that a lot. -1 to hit in shooting in combat, which is nice. And that's T-Suns or Demon units, which is good. Our next up is Deceptive Glamour. Start of the fight phase, 1 T-Suns unit from your army until the end of the phase. Each time an enemy model within engagement range of your unit selects targets for its attacks, it can only target your unit if there are no eligible Scintillating Legion targets for those attacks. So this is another one of those strats that we kind of saw in Legions of Excess, where they were able to ablate wounds or not be able to shoot the target we want to shoot. But this is just you can't fight the T-Suns unit if there are eligible scintillating units within engagement range as well. So they kind of act as a bodyguard. Now, this could be used on big giant birds. This could be used on pinks or blues. So there's a lot of possibilities here with just ablative wounds for your big T-Suns units. So I like this one a lot. But it is 2 CP.
It is 2 CP. Going for the heroic into doing this is a 3 CP stratagem. It's going to be, very, very hard to budget for that, to plan on that. So if you're going to be going for this and trying to use it frequently, you need to make sure they have to dual charge you. They probably will. If they are forcing you to spend 2 CP, you can't complain. They can't complain too much about forcing that amount of economy sometimes. But it's enough to, if you spend 2 CP and they have to target a bunch of pink horrors and not do anything with those attacks into anything important, then that feels pretty good. You cannot complain about that at all, especially if you're able to divert just enough of those attacks where killing the pink horrors is very unlikely. So then you just have basically a unit of blues left when they're all done and they don't actually wipe it. you can suffer a couple wounds on your main model that you're trying to protect for that kind of bullshit to keep going. All right, next up we have Ethereal Phantasm. Your opponent's movement phase just after an enemy unit ends a normal advance or fallback move. One Scintillating Legion unit from your army that is within 9 of that enemy unit and not within engagement range, they can make a reactive move of up to D6 or a normal move of 6 if they are wholly within 6 inches of one or more friendly Thousand Suns unit. That seems like a great way to set up your deceptive glamour that we just talked about if you really need to. Reactive move, I guess. Or just, be a pain. Go screen them out. Move block.
Yeah. The wholly within 9 or the wholly within 6 kind of stinks. Especially for some of these bigger units. That's a little tough. Okay. All right.
Yeah, it is definitely way more limiting having to be wholly within 6 as a unit, but you still can do it. I guess if you really need to, it can be a pretty gross move block. I think is probably the most likely scenario. Trying to just push horrors in someone's face who's trying to charge or flip an objective or something like that.
Sure.
But yeah, we'll see.
Fatal Disjunction is next. Your opponent's shooting phase just after an enemy unit has selected its target. One scintillating unit from your army, excluding monsters, so you can't do this on the big birds, that was selected as the target of one or more of the attacking unit's attacks. Until the end of the phase, your unit can only be selected as the target of a ranged attack if the attacking model is within 18. So 18-inch loan op on all your little scintillating legions units. So the pinks, everything else, they get 18-inch loan op for a CP.
Yeah. Pretty solid. That's
I think it's okay.
I think probably one of the best we've had in here so far. -1 to hit being the other top tier one that's generally very useful. Who can complain about loan up? So, all right. Up next we have Chrono Sorceress Bleed, and that is 1 CP, your opponent's charge phase just after an enemy unit has declared a charge. 1000 Sun Psyker or Scintillating Legions unit from your army that was selected as the target of the charge. Until the end of that phase, subtract 2 from charge rolls made for that enemy unit, and that is not cumulative with any other negative modifiers to that charge roll, so this will not stack. But for some longer charges, it's nice to be able to make it 2 inches harder.
Yeah,
it's all I've ever asked for in life is to just be 2 inches harder. But
I think this is a great strat. 1 CP for +2 to charge. This is Thousand Sun Psyker units and Scintillating Legion units, so just keep that in mind that they gotta have the Psyker keyword. But this is a great strat for 1 CP. I'm paying for this all the time. Our last one, Glimmer Shift Portal. End of your opponent's fight phase, up to 2 Scintillating Legions units from your army, excluding monsters, or 1 Scintillating Legions monster unit from your army, if all of those units are more than 3 inches horizontally away from all enemy units. Remove those units from the battlefield and place them in a strat reserves. This is up, be down. This is either 2 little units or a big monster. This is also fantastic, especially because it's 1 CP. So I really, really like this one, and I think that strat as a whole takes this detachment to like an actually good level. Before that, it was just kind of like me and take demons. No. This is actually really solid. I like that a lot.
Yeah, being able to pick up 2 units, I think especially on like units of flamers or something like that coming out of the demon side of things, very good for either scoring or clearing chaff. Like they're just gonna really be able to use those units well with an ability like that. And I mean, up downing 2 flamer units could be pretty gross.
Yeah, totally agree.
All right, so back to you. It's your turn to give it the Zangor score. Phil, how are you feeling about this detachment, the change host of Deceit?
So based on just the detachment itself and the enhancements and the strats, I put this at a solid 3 Zangors. This for me is very, very good and I think really solid. But I like the I like Grand Coven more. I think it fits my playstyle, and if I were to play T-Suns, would probably fall in line with what I would want to do. But I think this is a fantastic detachment. It is above average and has a lot of tools. So I put it at about 3 Zangors.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I do feel like while there is some very good tech pieces within this detachment, there is still some things you just feel like it's lacking a little bit. And so I think that does bring it down a little bit. I think it's still going to be just fine playing competitive 40K. It just probably won't be the most competitive option. Awesome. All right, well, moving on to our third detachment, we have the Warp Meld Pact. And that detachment rule is the Warp Meld Sacrifice. Each time an enemy unit is selected to shoot or fight, and one or more Tzeentch mutant units from your army are selected as the target of one or more of those attacks, each Tzeentch mutant unit can make a Warp Meld Sacrifice. If it does, that unit suffers D3 mortal wounds, and until the end of the phase, each time an attack. Tzeentch
so
mutants.
wordy.
What are those, Phil?
Zangors. It's our boys.
Zangors. Yes, the boys, the goat men themselves are here to do business in this detachment. Let's go ahead and start off with those detachments. The Warp Meld Dagger, a Zangor Shaman model. Each time the bear attempts a ritual just before determining the psychic test result, the bear can use this enhancement. If it does, the bearer suffers D3 mortals. If it is not destroyed as a result, 1 to the psychic test result for each of those mortal wounds suffered. You know, a little bit of pain suffered to add potentially an additional D3 to your psychic test. Not bad, except for the fact that Zangor Shaman do not have many wounds, so you are not going to be doing this very much.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. They can't have more than 4 wounds, right? Like, they're not 5
I'm pretty sure it's 4 wounds exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can do it once, no risk.
Yeah. Twice, you're likely dead. If you roll double 1s, you can do 3 of these for sure, but that's very unlikely. The chances that you get to use this more than twice are excessively low. You know, we'll see. We'll see what the other ones have in store. It's not terrible. Ensuring that at least one time it will get, you know, what you're looking to do off, I think is still very nice. Even if it's the flat extra one, even though it is up to D3, knowing that you at least get one is still very nice.
Yeah, for sure. Our next one, Diamond of Distortion, Zangor Shaman model only. While the bear is leading a unit, each time an attack targets that unit, subtract -1 from hit. That's solid. And you put it on. This wants you to take big units of Zangors, right? Like, it wants you to do full squads of them. So having -1 to hit on a full squad, I think that's really solid.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure, we're not very far into this, but I'm pretty sure the universe is just telling us, I need to finally get painted the 120 Zangors, and you can get your 150 Poxwalkers, and we will brawl it out in the midboard with nothing but a bunch of shitters and just see what happens. I think that's what the people want to see, and we will suffer every minute of it because neither of us enjoy that play style. But we'll do it for you. We'll do it for you. We might have to borrow some models, but we'll do it, provided we hit 500 subs. That's on you guys. That is the reward. We're claiming it now. Because this unit, or this codex will finally be live by that time. 500 subs. Yeah. We're playing 150 Poxwalkers versus 120 Zangors. It's going to be epic, and I can't wait. That might even have to be our first live streamed game if things keep moving the way we have been progressing.
Okay. All right. What's the next one, Lane?
Bray Lord, 1 sorcerer or infernal master model only. The bear has the Scout 6 ability, and during the declare battle step, or formation step, the bear can attach to Zangors themselves. You can lead the goatmen, even though you were made for more. I think that's a decent way to go. Having a little more punch connected. Yeah. That's solid.
Okay. Yeah, that's solid. Our last one, Flowing Flesh, Zangor Shaman model only. The bearer has the Feel No Pain 4-up ability and a wounds characteristic of 5. If it's 5 points, sure, maybe you take it. Unfortunately, this can't go on the shaman that can hurt itself because you can't double stack those enhancements. But if it's cheap and you have some extra points, this isn't the end of the world. But before we move to the stratagems, there is one more thing. Zangor units, obviously, in this Zangor detachment, get the battle line keyword and get +1 OC. So now your Zangors in this detachment obviously are battle line because they want you to run the swarm. So they want you to obviously run the full 6 and then get a little bit of more OC on there for you.
Yeah, that is definitely a nice little boost to trying to play a definitely board control style of detachment. If you are incentivized to bring that many bodies, that's going to help a lot for sure. All right, first up in our stratagems, we have the Gift of Change. Any phase, 1,000 Suns character model from your army, excluding monsters that was just destroyed. You can use this stratagem on that model, even though it was just destroyed. At the end of the phase, add 1 Tzeentch Chaos Spawn unit containing 1 model only to your army and set it up as close as possible to where your model was destroyed and not within engagement range of 1 or more enemy units. You can only use this stratagem once per battle round. Kill a character, become a spawn. Woo! Keeping pieces on the board. Like, it's not bad. Again, I can't totally tell from this image, but I believe that is still just 1 CP. I do think this isn't a terrible strat. It's going to keep pieces on the board and allow you to keep scoring and doing other things. The fact that it doesn't come back until the end of the phase makes it to where dealing, if you were standing on an objective with just a Tzeentch shaman and they shoot you off, spend a CP, it's still yours, right? You have Chaos Spawn still standing there that they have to deal with.
Well, it wouldn't be the shaman, because do they have the Thousand Suns character keyword, technically?
Yeah, it should be. And even if not, throw a just a regular on disc sorcerer or something out there. Very, very useful. It's almost the same as sticky in a way, but
yeah,
less good, but still you get to keep a piece even though you lost one. I think definitely can be seeing this, and I think it's gonna have a lot of play early game and late game when you're just trying to keep pieces on the board so that you can keep scoring into those final rounds.
Okay. Our next stratagem, Warped Vicitude? Vicitude. That's how I'm pronouncing that. Your opponent's shooting phase or the fight phase just after an enemy unit is selected as targets. One Zangor unit from your army that was selected as the target of one or more of the attacking units attacks. To the end of the phase, models in your unit have a 4-up involved. That is shooting or fight phase. That is awesome. And it is only 1 CP for a 4-up involved. Seems pretty good. I like that a lot.
Yeah, chewing through 20 Zangors with a 4-up is much tougher than no save, basically, at all. Yeah, solid. Very, very good. Deranged Ferocity in your fight phase or in the fight phase, just after a Tzeentch mutant unit from your army is selected to fight, that Tzeentch mutant unit, until the end of the phase, each time a model in your unit makes a pile-in or consolidate move, it can move up to 6 instead of 3 on the pile-in, and when determining what models are eligible to fight, models in that unit that are within 3 inches of one or more enemy models, such models can target one of those enemy units that is within 3 of them and within range of their unit. Very wordy way of saying you get 6-inch pile-in and consolidate and can have an engagement range of 3 inches. Very solid. 1 CP, if you're trying to pile in to get a bunch of these attacks into something because you're going to need them, this will help. And the 6-inch pile-in and consolidate we've talked about before for World Eaters, very useful, especially for flipping objectives, tying up things behind what you fought. Very, very good.
Yeah, because the +1 to wound is shoot or fight phase. So you obviously want these guys in combat. A +1 to wound, I will speak from experience, makes things that shouldn't wound a lot. So yeah, it's really solid. Our next one, Blessed Transmutations. It's your command phase. 1,000 Sun Cycler unit from your army and 1 friendly Zangor unit from your army that is below its starting strength and within 12 of that model. Return up to D3 +1 destroyed models, excluding characters, to your Zangor unit. So D3 +1 Zangor is coming back in your command phase. So this is something that you could do to get more OC on an objective. This is something you could do to extend out, like to get closer to an enemy unit, to decrease your charge. This is all really, really solid, and it's a good strat.
Yeah. Additional 4 to 8 OC specifically, being that range, is going to be solid for flipping objectives for sure.
I like that a lot.
Yep. All right. Up next, we have Touched by Tzeentch. And the start of your movement phase, 1 Tzeentch mutant unit from your army. Until the end of that turn, your unit is eligible to shoot or declare a charge in a turn which it advanced. So it seems you can only do one or the other with the or in there. You cannot advance, shoot, and charge, as a lot of them are stated. But for 1 CP, that's pretty damn useful.
Yeah. It's kind of a shame that it's only Tzeentch mutant units, but that has been the theme for this detachment. But you obviously want the Zangors in combat, so I don't see a problem here.
Yeah, I think that's great. And we have one stratagem left. What is that?
Twisted Mirage. Reinforcement step of your movement phase. 1 Tzeentch mutant unit from your army that is arriving from strat reserves. This phase, your unit can be set up anywhere on the battlefield that is more than 3 inches horizontally away from all enemy units, or anywhere on the battlefield that is more than 9 inches away from all enemy units if it is a monster unit. In either case, until the end of the charge, it is not eligible to declare a charge. Okay, Lane, I need you to explain it to me because I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. But they just took all the 3-inch deep strikes out of the game. Why are they bringing it back? They just took them all away because they didn't like them for the game.
This is still just the leaks. There is a high chance that does get removed. But on the off chance it doesn't, and they are 3-inch instead of 6, like everything else has been adjusted to, that is great. Getting to 3-inch, just plop a unit onto the board and easily flip objectives, be annoying. A 20-man unit that is 3 inches away from everything, even if it is 6. With a 20-man unit of Zangors, your ability to just move block the shit out of your opponent, I think is very good. Potentially being able to just pay and go, all right, here's 20 Zangors floating across the board. You know, they will still get to move 8 inches because they can't get within an inch of the unit you just dropped. But you can claim a lot of space and move block with the stratagem like that. Or potentially even just if they aren't really committing quite as much as they need to, just drop on, be 6 away, and they still have a ton of shooting. The version with the auto pistols with +1 to wound, it can still do some work into other chaff units.
Yeah. They do clarify in this that it's only the reinforcement step of your movement phase.
Mm-hmm.
Thankfully, they can't be rapid ingressed in. That would be pretty heinous. But yeah, I think you're right. I think, like, I don't think this should be a thing. I don't think the 3-inch deep strike should be a thing. But they've already given us 6-inch deep strike with charge, and I thought those were getting phased out slowly, and they brought them back with death guards. So yeah, really interesting.
I mean, if anything could 3-inch deep strike, right? It's some fucking goats, right? Some goat men. That makes sense, okay? If anything got it, they should. Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
All right. So the obvious answer is this is obviously 120 Zangors out of 5. That is where we're rating this. And I want it, Phil, I need to see 120 Zangors across the screen as we rate this. But in all sincerity, I know we gave a lot of shit to the Plague Bearer or whatever. Yeah, Plague Bearer detachment from Death Guard. I think this detachment actually is pretty good. To be honest, I think this might be more consistent than the last one we just saw, which I know is kind of wild, but it has like great fucking strats. The wound, +1 to wound and -1 to wound, like you're just actually very, very tanky with these things. I don't think this is going to be the best one. I don't think it's going to blow things away, but I think it still falls at least at like 3.5 Zangors on the scale. Like, I feel like this is actually going to play the mission pretty well. Like, you don't have to, like, you're not going to have a ton of support for some of the other things that are in this codex, because this is mostly focused around there. But there's enough strength on a lot of those data sheets that having that, as well as a bunch of bodies that are OC2 idiots with a 4-up invuln on demand, and like, I don't know. I think if you just put a bunch of just like shooting, just Forge Fiends and other shit like that, who can just hold down shooting lanes and clear the middle while a bunch of just dumb goat men run forward, I do not think this is a terrible detachment. I would say by the end of this year, this detachment will have more GT wins than the Plague Bearer one from Death Guard, if I was a betting man. It's only got to get 2 right now, but I have faith. I have faith in those who want to go with the way of the goat men.
Yeah, maybe. It's possible.
Am I crazy here, Phil? Do you disagree?
I don't think it's better than the Demon Detachment. I think the Demon Detachment is better. I think Change Host is better. Only because the strats for it are specifically tied to the Zangors. And you're right, it means that all those other data sheets have to survive on their own. While I think the Scintillate, like the Change Host detachment, makes a lot of things really, really interesting in terms of like being able to Doom Bolt out of all of your characters, the uppy down, which I said previously is probably one of the best strats that I love seeing in almost every detachment, and Change Host has that. So the mobility as a whole, and I think Change Host is just a little better.
Okay,
but you can rate it at 3. It's your rating, so if you want to rate it at 3.5, you can rate it at 3.5.
I will agree. I do think it is a meme. I don't think you're going to see a ton of people playing this. But I actually, the main reason I just want to rate it highly is just because we did not like the Death Guard Poxwalker one. And I do think this one is definitely better than that. So if that one can do it, this one can do it. And that is my stance. But yeah, 3.5 might be a little high, but you know, we're here to make some bold claims.
All right. Well, our next detachment, I've heard the hotness about this one. This one is, in terms of like the most amount of hype I've heard, it's definitely around this one. It's the Rubrikai Phalanx. Detachment rule is all is dust, and each time an attack with an unmodified damage characteristic of 1 is allocated to a Rubrikai model from your army, add 1 to any armor saving throw made against that attack. That was an ability in the Rubric Marines. Now it is the detachment rule for this specific detachment.
Yeah, pretty decent rule. There is a fair amount of damage one floating around in the game, so might as well keep those 3-ups at 3-ups for as long as you can. But I think a lot of the strength and a lot of the hype is coming from the enhancements and the strats, so we'll dive into those. First on the enhancements is Risen Rubrikai. Thousand Suns model only. At the start of the declared battle formation step, select either 2 Rubrikai battle line units from your army or 1 other Rubrikai unit from your army. Models in the selected unit have the Infiltrator's ability. Very solid.
I like that a lot. That's so good.
Yeah. All right. So what would be, as just a quick going over, what are, obviously Rubric Marines are the battle line version. What would you be able to infiltrate with the Rubrikai keyword otherwise?
I think that's the Terminators as well, so you could take those. I don't think the new robots, I don't believe they have Rubrikai. That would be a little silly, seeing as they already have Infiltrate. Yeah, I didn't think there would be any benefit for that. No, they don't have the Rubrikai keyword, so it sounds like it's just the infantry and it's just the Terminators. I don't think the Demon Princes have Rubrikai. They don't.
Yeah.
No, none of the characters do. It looks like
no.
That would be silly, right? That'd be a little obnoxious. I mean, Thousand Suns doing obnoxious.
Yeah, I thought there was
common.
A chance that some of the characters might have Rubrikai as well, but it does look like it is only the Terminators as the other option.
Yeah.
And Rubrics, so you can either infiltrate 2 units of Rubrics or 1 unit of Terminators. Pretty good.
I would love to infiltrate some Terminators.
Yeah, definitely going to be strong. And you can, obviously, they still get their attached characters to go with them. They will all have the keyword, and that is all that matters. Pretty damn good.
Next one is Arcane Thralls. It's an aura. Thousand Suns models only. While a friendly Rubrikai unit is within 9 of the bearer, you can reroll battle shock tests taken for the unit. This is dumb. Get it out. I don't want to see it.
Nope. You don't want that. It doesn't come up that often. If you have the points, maybe you throw that in, but generally, probably the last pick. Up next, we have Lord of the Rubrikai, Thousand Suns model only. While the bear is leading a unit, each time a Rubrikai model in that unit makes an attack, add 1 to the hit roll. That sounds like an auto-include to me. Hitting on 2s?
Pretty good.
We take those. Right on a flamer unit, dude, every time. I am throwing it in there. We aren't missing our flamer shots. We've got +1 to hit. We're doing just fine.
We need +1 to hit on flamers, dude. They auto-hit.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Thanks, though, buddy.
The joke.
Yeah. No, I'm the asshole. It's on me.
Next one is Stave Abominus. Yes, okay. That's how I pronounce that, too. This Codex has been an interesting word salad for me. It's been a lot. Thousand Suns infantry model only. The bear's melee weapon has the sustained hits D3 and dev wounds ability.
Yeah, that's good. That's very good. Yeah. Ardent Automata. 1 CP win in your opponent or in your movement phase just after a Rubrikai model from your army falls back until the end of the turn. Your unit is eligible to shoot and declare a charge in a turn in which it fell back. Fall back, shoot, and charge. 1 CP, we take that. That sounds great.
Yeah. That can once again go on your Terminators, go on your Rubric Marines. That's awesome. Having that kind of extra mobility is really good for this army. Next one is Inexorable Advance. Your movement phase, 1 Rubrikai unit from your army. Until the end of the phase, your unit can ignore any and all mods to its move characteristics into advance rolls made for it, and ranged weapons equipped by the models in your unit have the assault ability. We love that. That is so good. It means that you can advance and still get around the board like you need to. So yeah, I think that's really good.
Yeah, and if you really, really need to, you can stack an additional D6 or flat 6 movement onto that unit and really get them up the board. Very good. Very, very nice ability to have. All right. Up next, we have the Infernal Fusillade. In your shooting phase, 1,000 Sun Psyker unit from your army that has not been selected to shoot this phase until the end of the phase. All Inferno Bolt pistols, Inferno Bolt guns, Inferno Combi Bolters, and Inferno Combi weapons equipped by models in your unit have the Psychic ability and a Strength characteristic of 5. Yeah, we like that. We do like that. It is 2 CP as we look at the previous image. You see it on the side of the page. Oh, it's a little pricey, but it definitely can do some work.
Hey.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah,
reroll
I
all
thought the
hits. So you take this, you reroll all hits. You have the psychic. Okay, all right. Something, I guess. Next one, Revenge of the Rubrikai. Your opponent's shooting phase just after 1,000 Sun Psyker model from your army is destroyed. One Rubrikai model from your army that is within 6 of that Psyker model when it was destroyed. After the attacking unit has shot, your Rubrikai unit can shoot as if you were shooting phase. But when resolving these attacks, it can only target the enemy unit that just destroyed your Psyker model. So it's a retaliation for killing their Psyker. They unload everything into some of these bricks can be very, very scary, especially like the Terminator bricks with all their guns. So yeah, seems really, really solid for 1 CP as well, which is nice.
Yep. Yeah, cannot complain about that one. Another 2 CP strat up next, Implacable Guardians. Your opponent's shooting phase, just after an enemy unit has selected its targets, one Rubric Marine Psyker unit from your army that was selected as the target of one or more of those attacks until the end of the phase. Each time an attack is allocated to a model in your unit, excluding Psyker models, subtract 1 from the damage characteristic of that attack. So you get to make your Terminators or Rubric Marines very tanky until they kill them all, in which case your Psyker himself takes the full brunt of the damage.
Okay.
Interesting.
I mean, -1 damage is good. I like -1 damage. 2 CPs, I would say appropriate for -1 damage. The only kind of thing that kind of sucks is it's only during the shooting phase.
Yeah. I can attest to -1 to damage in the fight phase, or in any phase generally, but in the fight phase specifically, where everything is damaged to, or at least 60% of the game is damaged to, feels great. So yeah, not having that to throw in there on the fight phase definitely does hurt a little bit.
Our last one, Unwavering Phalanx. Your opponent's charge phase, just after an enemy unit ends a charge, one Rubric Marines unit from your army within engagement range of that enemy unit until the end of the turn. Each time a target attack targets your unit, subtract 1 from the wound roll. So you do have some defensive capabilities in combat, which is good. -1 to wound is good, and it's not if the strength is greater, it's just a pure -1 to wound for 1 CP.
Yep. Don't hate that. I think that is probably more likely used than the 2 CP -1 to damage in a lot of cases. Just with the amount of damage 3 weapons, maybe on the Terminators. The Terminators will use it a lot more for -1 to damage, but Rubrics, there's so much damage 3 in the game that even with -1, every failed save is still just a dude.
Yeah, but I mean, the Terminators are probably T5, so sending T5 and then being able to send them -1 is actually really nice. They can't be like our Terminators for Death Guard and be toughness 7, but not everyone can be like us, so it's okay.
Yeah, this definitely has some good abilities within it. It is unfortunate that the turn everything into psychic is not in the detachment where you can give all psychic weapons dev wounds. A little unfortunate there, but I'm sure there are some combinations within some of those data sheets that will, give that a little more reason. But yeah, overall, a decent detachment. Got some good strats, some extra tankiness. Never hurt a glass cannon army, and the rule. It's just a lot of things to help make your Rubric Marines and Terminators more tanky. So
yeah, I mean,
can't complain.
I think in this detachment, or I think in all of them, the Rubric Marines are very good, and you're not just taking them anymore as like just bodies, because they can get the benefit to AP, because they can get the benefit to movement, because they are still Space Marines and they're relatively tough. I think it's a really solid detachment. But for me, since this is my rating for this last one, this gets a 4 Zangors.
Okay. All right. That is fair. But we do have one more.
We do have one more?
Detachment. It is the vehicle detachment. It is Warpforged Cabal. Yeah, but I do agree. I do think 4 Zangors is probably appropriate. I think it has a lot of good things within the detachment. It just doesn't seem like it has near the lethal synergy that the first one, the Index, did. And I feel like this army is going to be played better when you just delete your problems instead of trying to tank them, but we'll see. So moving on to our last detachment, we have the Warpforged Cabal, and its detachment rule, Warpfire Infusion. Each time a 1,000 Suns vehicle unit from your army is selected to shoot or fight, apply one of the following when resolving the attacks. If that vehicle unit is within 6 of one or more friendly 1,000 Suns Psykers models, you can reroll 1 hit roll, 1 wound roll, and 1 damage roll. Or if it is not nearby a psyker, you can roll one of those in general. You just get 1 reroll. Yeah, not bad. And then the other half, each time a Thousand Suns vehicle model from your army with the Deadly Demise ability is destroyed, while it is within 6 of a Thousand Sun Psyker model, that model's Deadly Demise ability inflicts D6 mortal wounds on a 5-up instead of a 6.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, you will do Deadly Demise as long as you make sure, well, you won't do it for sure, but you do it twice as often as long as you make sure a sorcerer is there to take it in the face when it happens.
I might be okay with that.
All right.
Like, especially if there's some targets that you want to go into, I think that's okay. That's really interesting. Okay, Warp Siphon. It's our first enhancement. Thousand Suns model only, while the bearer is within 6 of 1 or more friendly Thousand Suns vehicles units. Each time the bearer channels the warp after you roll the additional d6. And for me, right, like we talked about at the beginning, for me that means that it is a step per step based on the verbiage from that enhancement. But before checking for doubles or triples, the bearer can use this enhancement. If it does, select one of those vehicle units. That vehicle unit suffers 1 mortal wound, and you can re-roll that additional d6. So before you take mortal wounds, the vehicle takes a mortal wound, and then you can re-roll that 6, maybe to avoid getting a double, or to even just increase to see if you can go after a higher number to get your supercharged spell. I like that a lot. I think that's quite good. As an enhancement. A little wordy, but it works.
Yeah, and it's also nice that the mortals go on to the vehicle for re-rolling instead. So that is nice, not suffering more on the bearer or anything like that. So nice to spread that around. Up next, Perplexing Cloak. Thousand Suns infantry model only, while the bearer is within 3 inches of 1 or more friendly Thousand Suns units. The bearer has the Lone Op ability. Thousand Suns vehicle units, I should say. Yeah, you become a Tech Marine, kind of, with Lone Op. So nice.
I mean, yeah, you're putting this on potentially a psyker. The psyker is already giving the vehicles hit, wound, and a damage reroll, and then on top of that, you're giving that character, you're sticking back their Lone Op. This feels auto take, especially in this detachment. So yeah, it's really solid. Our next one, Biomechanical Mutation. Thousand Suns model only. In your command phase, you can select 1 friendly Thousand Suns vehicle model. Within 6 of this model, that model regains up to D3 lost wounds. Solid.
Yep.
Not as good as the other
Don't
two,
hate
but it's solid.
Yeah. And last but not least, Warp Cursed Rune Master, a Thousand Suns model only, while the bear is within 6 of 1 or more friendly Thousand Suns vehicle units. Each time the bear manifests a ritual, while resolving the ritual, add 6 to its range. Yeah, seems like you are just sitting back next to your Forge Fiends, casting spells and blasting things off the table. Sounds like, just from the first half of this, that sounds like a viable start to list building. Sorcerers and some shooting, maybe some predators, whatever, but it got some good bones already. We're at least up to 3 Zangors, I'm pretty sure, if not more, at a minimum.
Well, I mean, we got mini Ironstorm pretty much. A hit roll, a wound roll, and a damage roll. You can use all 3. All right, our first one up, Hex Marked Armor. Your opponent's shooting phase or the fight phase, just after an enemy unit has selected its targets, 1,000 Suns vehicle unit from your army that was selected as the target of 1 or more of the attacking unit's attack. Until the end of the phase, each time an attacking targets your unit, worsen the armor penetration characteristic of that attack by 1. You get vehicle-wide AOC in shooting and fight phase. That's it.
Sounds great. Love it. All right, up next, Mutate Landscape. In your command phase, 1,000 Sun Psyker unit from your army that is within range of an objective marker you control. That objective marker is then mutated and remains under your control until your opponent's level of control over that objective marker is greater than yours at the end of a phase. While an objective marker is mutated and under your control, each time an enemy unit ends a normal, advance, fallback, or charge move within range of the objective marker, roll 1d6. On a 4-up, that enemy unit suffers D3 mortal wounds. Sticky in a trap. Don't hate it.
Don't hate it. We love Sticky. We already said we like Sticky. Okay, that's only 1 CP too. That's pretty solid. Cyber Spirit Machinations. Your movement phase just after a Thousand Suns vehicle from your army fell back. That vehicle unit and 1 friendly Thousand Sun Psyker within 6 of that vehicle unit. Until the end of the turn, your vehicle unit is eligible to shoot and declare a charge in a turn in which it fell back. So fallback, shoot, and charge for a vehicle as long as it's within 6 inches of a Thousand Sun Psyker, because the Psyker is using its mind abilities to tell the pilot to fall back, shoot, and charge. So once again, 1 CP, really solid, like that a lot.
All right, moving on. Malevolent Animus, your command phase for 1 CP, 1,000 Suns vehicle unit from your army that is within 6 inches of one or more friendly 1,000 Sun Psyker units until the start of your next command phase. Your vehicle unit is malevolent. While a unit is malevolent, it can ignore any or all mods to the following profile characteristic of its model's weapon skill, ballistic skill, characteristics of weapons equipped by its models, and any roll or test made for it, excluding modifiers to saving throws. That is a very wordy second half of that. But it does ignore all mods to the hit rolls themselves and the characteristics as well. So that is very, very nice. The other thing is that it also says any tests made for it. So if they are, if you are going against Plague Legion or something that's giving out -1 to, leaderships and making you take battle shocks, you are ignoring those mods. And that could be the difference between holding an objective or not. So there are definitely a couple different ways to use this stratagem, which is very nice.
For sure, absolutely. And it's 1 CP, and we like 1 CP strats that are effective. Our second to last one, Ensorcelled Infusion. Your shooting phase, 1 T-Suns vehicle from your army within 6 of one or more friendly 1,000 Sun Psyker units. Noticing a little bit of a trend here. Until the end of the phase, ranged weapons equipped by vehicle models in your unit have a psychic ability, and each time an attack is made with such a weapon, add 1 to the wound roll. We like this a lot. +1 to wound. It's been all over this codex. They pretty much shotgun blasted it everywhere on every page. It's somewhere, and it's only 1 CP. So I like that a lot.
Yeah, Forge Fiends with some +1 to wound, just picking up some Terminators for funsies with that strat. Sounds great.
Yeah, pretty good.
All right. Up next, we have Warp Flame Gargoyles. For 1 CP, your opponent's charge phase, just after an enemy unit ends a charge move, 1,000 Suns vehicle from your unit, enemy unit from your army within engagement range of that unit, roll a d6, roll 6d6 for each 5 up that enemy unit, suffers 1 mortal wound. That enemy unit must then take a battle shock. You're telling me I get reactive tank shock and I make you take a battle shock test? That sounds delightful, especially if you're an army who is going to rely on needing some strats to help have extra AP or strength or anything to kill me as a vehicle. That is a hell of a strat to have.
Yeah, that's interesting. I actually think that'd be, that would be really good on 1,000 Suns Land Raider, right? Like, for a lot of things, they can't kill a Land Raider, like, they just can't kill it straight up. Usually you need some strat support. Usually you need maybe a reroll or something like that. It's like, no, you're actually going to be, I'm going to kill a couple of you on the way in, maybe, depending on the unit. And then I'm also going to make you take a battle shock. Okay, that has its uses. I'll give it that.
Yeah, I mean, it does average. It's not quite a full tank shock since it is only 66. It averages 2 mortals, but, the combination of that and the battle shock could be enough to really be problematic for certain matchups.
Yeah, for sure.
Man, all right. Well, I guess it's back to me on the Zangor score for this detachment. Man, I feel like this one actually... It actually does pretty well. I think it falls on at a 4 Zangors, man. I do think it is pretty strong. I think the way it is going to buff those, I think it's good. I don't think it's going to have a lot of, you're obviously running tanky models. It has ways to make them punch harder. I don't think it's going to be quite as strong as the Coven, but it's still solid. I think this is a very good detachment. And everything, for the most part, feels like it does what you need it to in terms of enhancements and the stratagems overall. For the most part, they are all very good. Warforged Cabal, the Iron Storm of Thousand Suns. Man, it just, I don't know. I think it's going to be good, man. I think it's going to be good. 4 Zangors approved.
4 Zangors approved. Think this is dependent, actually, detachment alone, I think you're right. I think this is going to be a very, very strong one. What's going to make or break this detachment is just how good those Predators are, those Forge Fiends are, those Rhinos are, right?
Yeah. All right. 4 Zangors for this detachment. Very solid. The Warforged Cabal, I think it's going to be decent. Overall, the only discrepancy I think we had from the top Coven at 4.5. Then at 4, we had both Warforged Cabal and the Rubrikai Phalanx at 4. A little bit of a meme, but I did say the Warp Meld Pact and the Zangors are a 3.5. I am very curious to actually see how that one plays. It is a little memey, but I don't think it's the worst of the memes we've seen from the codexes for the Chaos factions that have released. And then last but not least, with 3, you gave Change Host of Deceit. We probably should flip those last 2. But, here we are doing it on the fly. So, Phil, any final thoughts as we have covered these detachments within the new codex?
No, I think GW has hit the nail on the head for all 4 of these detachments. I genuinely believe all 4 of these detachments all 4 of these codexes are good. I think World Eater is good, Emperor's Children is good, Death Guard is good, and now Tzeentch Thousand Suns is good. And I think they all have play, which I think is the most important part, right? I don't think they're coming out and being obnoxiously broken. I think that the Death Guard one is a little tuned up, a little bit too high, if I'm honest. But all the other ones, I think, are perfectly fine. I think that Emperor's Children one could use some love. I don't know why they were the only one to not get Forge Fiends and not get Predators. I don't know who didn't like them enough to not give them the one thing that every other codex had, but they still have play, they have good rules, and they're going to be effective. So overall, I'm pretty pleased with the detachments, and I think they all have some play, even our Mimi Zangor one.
Yes, and I'm happy to hear you at least admit that, Phil. That gives me a nice full heart as we end this discussion about the new codex. And yes, I agree. They've been solid for all of the detachments and codexes they have released. It definitely has some play. We'll see how much doomin over this we find on Reddit, but at the end of the day, I think T-Suns are going to be just fine. We will be back later this week to hopefully go over the data sheets and all the characters and units that are now going to have some shakeups and hopefully be nice and spicy for everyone to bring along in their desired detachment. I know y'all are playing the Zangors. You don't have to convince me. I understand. But we will be back later this week to talk all about it. Hopefully, we will have a guest on with us, and we can talk about how many Zangors every data sheet deserves. But in the meantime, don't forget to like and subscribe, and please give us that nice Zangor thumbs up below. We want those likes. We need those likes, and the Zangos won't be happy until we get them. And do not forget, victory is a given, it's forged, and it's forged right here on Master Crafted. We'll see y'all next time.